Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Stacy Brown, your local South Florida realtor. Today, I am so excited to have invited to my channel my dear friend and preferred mortgage loan officer, Julie Grushoff with Clear Choice Lending. In this episode and the series of episodes to follow, Julie and I are going to tackle everything that professionals in the industry as well as consumers alike are facing in today's market. We're going to cover everything from the newly introduced NAR settlement to the volatility around the presidential election and why that's holding people back and perhaps maybe why it shouldn't. So be sure to like and subscribe and keep coming back for more. We're going to bring you content every week to let you know the changes that we're seeing. Thanks for watching. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Stacy Brown, your local South Florida realtor, and I am so excited today to be being joined by not only a near and dear friend of mine, but my preferred loan officer here in South Florida. So I am here with Ms. Julie Grushoff with Clear Choice Lending. And the reason I'm bringing her on today to speak to me is because I always value your perspective, Julie. I know sometimes I can come from a place, I'm a realtor, I'm sitting in a different lane than you are, I'm seeing things from a different perspective than you are. And many people at times may actually say that I'm a little pessimistic and you are the optimist to my pessimist. You see things a little sometimes as glass half full. I sometimes can see it a little emptier, but I think we balance each other out. And I always so appreciate your perspective and what you're seeing from a different angle. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here.
Yes, so happy to be here. And I love that. Yeah, we're yin to each other's yang, and it's important with a partnership and a friendship also. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's get right to it. Let's kind of talk a little bit about what I think everyone is kind of feeling if they're working in the industry, and more importantly, if they're transacting in the industry, is that there has definitely been a noticeable shift. Gone are the days of 2021, 2022, where real estate was moving at such a fast pace. The second a home would hit the market, it was already sold before a consumer even knew about it. And you know, I think there's a lot of different reasons playing into why things are so different. And I kind of just want to see, you know, what you're thinking of it. First and foremost, you know, we're about 6 weeks now into the NAR settlement. We are seeing that went into effect on August 17th. We are now starting to see what that means to a buyer and to a seller, and how that has changed how we are all trading real estate. So you tell me first, what are you seeing working with these buyers when they're making application? Tell me, what are they saying when the realtors are now presenting them with forms to have to sign prior to even stepping foot in a home and potentially being on the hook to pay that agent's commission?
Yep. So from my vantage point, it's really been business as usual. There hasn't been a lot of hoopla from the buyers that I'm working with. You know, they ask questions. Is this really something I need to do? That kind of thing. I validate that. Yes, you know, this is now a law that went into place August 17th. It is something, but like everything else in life, everything's negotiable. So we go through that too, if the agent hasn't done a thorough job explaining it, you know, but I don't think the NAR settlement is so earth shattering. And I know there was so much fear leading up to it. And I guess this is my positive spin on what other people think is negative, but I really don't. I think that it really gives the buyer's agent such an advantage in a trying real estate market. You know, it isn't, like you said, the days of 2020 and 2021 where buyers were falling from the sky and every agent could have one. So now you have to really form a solid relationship with that buyer and be really transparent with that buyer. And you get to choose if you want to work with them, and they get to choose if they want to work with you on terms, which I think it kind of always should have been. You know, I worked with thousands of agents in my lifetime, and I see them on a Saturday get a request to go see a house. They're going to show it to them, dropping everything they're doing, meeting that buyer. That buyer was doing that with 10 other agents over the weekend. Who wants to spend their life like that? I mean, I know I wouldn't. So I think this gives more of a chance to prove your worth and for a buyer to choose to work with you. It's kind of like dating, you kind of vet each other out. You can swipe left if it's not working and ghost the
Oh,
situation
we
and
did
move
that for
on.
that.
Yeah, there's an app for that. So give your attention to the people that want to work with you. And I think that's so powerful, and show your worth, because in all of my years, the deals that go the worst, that go south, are the ones that don't have real estate representation. So a buyer's agent's needed, but the right one is needed, and you have to match with the right buyer and agent. So, but from a financial standpoint, everything's negotiable, right? So in my opinion, it's just part of the transaction now. So I have very rarely, except for in 2020, have not seen in the past 24 months some type of seller credit somewhere, whether it's seller credit towards closing cost, a repair, negotiation on price, whatever it is. And when all is said and done, a seller is putting their house on the market to sell their house. We always talk about the 5 Ps, right? There's 5 typical life milestones that happen when a buyer wants to sell their home. We have the number 1 is ring, right? Wedding ring. So what is it? Diamond. I was like, what's the D? Okay, so we have diamond, where someone cohabitates. So they need to move in together. So we have that. Then we have what's
So we have death, diamonds.
Yeah, but we have to start from the beginning. Diamonds.
Diapers.
Right. So we're expanding the family. So we need to expand, we need to move. Then we have the inevitable divorce. Just kidding. But 50 to 60% of the time, people get divorced. They need a new home. That's another D. Then we have downsizing. People need to move. They're retiring. And then unfortunately we have death, so it's the cycle of life that doesn't stop just because a buyer needs to pay a commission, or if interest rates are high. Those things are still happening. And when a seller wants to sell, they don't want to sell to put it on the MLS to see pretty pictures of their house. They want to sell because they need to sell. So they want more eyeballs on that property. If they're going to say, I'm not going to pay a commission, or I'm not going to negotiate, it's very rare you're going to see that. It really isn't any different than it was.
Have you seen any instances since this has gone into effect where the seller just flat out refuses and the buyer is on the hook for the agent's commission as a whole?
Only once. Yeah.
Really? But you have seen it once.
I've seen it once because they were upside down. So they didn't have the money. And that was, but that's their pre-foreclosure. They didn't have the money. So it's a different situation.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, no, they want to contribute. They want to get as many buyers in. They want to get the ball rolling. And in this market, I mean, we're both feeling it's a buyer's market. Listings are taking a little bit longer.
Buyer's market. Full-blown buyer's market, at least in South Florida. I can't speak what's going on in other parts of the country, but in South Florida, I agree. We're seeing a full-blown buyer's market. Buyers have the leverage. And I agree. I think this is going to separate the good agents from the not so good agents. You have to prove your value. I will admit, I was one of those that wasn't that pleased when this all went into effect. I had a little bit of a pessimistic attitude about the whole thing.
I know.
You do know.
I remember. Yeah.
But honestly, like my sellers that I'm working with right now, if they're motivated, they want to sell their home.
Yep.
We have no option. We have to offer compensation, albeit it leaves it more negotiable for them, but we have to offer some sort of compensation. And for buyers, my goodness, I mean, the thought of going this alone and not signing with a really strong agent is, oh, that's a scary thought. I mean, this is definitely going to separate the full-time agents from the ones that probably got us in this mess to begin with. There's a lot of them out there. There's a reason this lawsuit came to fruition, and it's just because I think there's way too many of them. I'll tell you, I was out yesterday showing properties with a few of my buyers. We saw 6 homes yesterday.
Nice.
And I tell you, not one listing agent was present during those showings.
Wow.
I found that to be so disheartening, and that's what gives our industry a bad name. If you can't be present for your client and to sell their home in a market that's tough to sell a home.
Yeah. What are you doing?
What are you doing? What purpose are you serving?
I don't know. I agree with that. 100%.
But this is gonna separate the good agents from the bad agents. Buyers agents have always served a purpose, sometimes more so than the listing agent. Like, they are the glue that holds a transaction together, gets it to the closing table, saves their buyer some money. I don't know.
I agree with you. So I don't think most buyers want to go at it alone or go directly to the listing agent. It just has to be upfront and disclosed and transparent. And at the end of the day, all parties just want to feel like they're getting a good deal, right? The buyer wants to feel happy, the seller wants to feel happy. And then as the people that are transacting, the lender, the real estate agents, they want to feel like they're bringing their best foot forward and serving the clients. So we can move forward and hopefully get a bunch of referrals and business out of it. That's what makes a good real estate agent, putting the client's best interest at heart and getting a good deal done with another agent.
Yep. You gotta want to work with that other agent for the
I
next
know
thing.
that is tough because you never know what you're going to get on the other side and you don't get to choose that. And not everybody's cut from the same cloth. And you wish you could duplicate good agents because it makes the transaction so much better.
The buyers are at such a disadvantage if they're not with a good agent. So this gives them the opportunity to interview agents and see who's a good fit and who's going to get the job done for them. And I tell you, not here to toot my own horn, but I was really fearful.
I want to see you toot your horn.
I was super fearful about the whole process, and I've had no problem having buyers sign the buyer brokerage agreements. I really haven't.
Because you're excellent at what you do. I'll toot your horn for you. I mean,
well, I love you too.
Well, it's true. I work with thousands of agents. You know what you're doing, and you always put your client first. That's it. You don't look at anything else but doing the right thing for your client, and it shows. That's why you're not afraid to show your worth because you have so much of it, and that's a fact.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's why I love you. So yeah, I think we're going to be okay with NAR, especially in today's market where we are in a buyer's market. We will circle back around with this whole discussion when the market shifts, which it inevitably will. Market always does.
Yes.
But for right now and for the foreseeable future, I think it's actually in everyone's best interest to transact this way.
Me too.
On another note, though, there's definitely a few other things I think that are playing into the slowness of the market.